All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we are diving deep into the absolute fundamental building block of all living things, the cell.
So let's just start with the biggest question there is, right? What makes something alive? I mean, you look at a rock, you look at a bird, you know one is alive and one isn't. But what's the actual fundamental difference? What's the secret ingredient?
Well, that secret ingredient? It's the cell. This tiny little package is the fundamental unit of all life. I mean, think about it. If you have anything less than a complete cell, you just don't have life. It is the absolute, non-negotiable ticket to the game.
Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at how we even found out about cells. Then, the two major kingdoms of cells. After that, we're going to take a tour inside one, meet the power players, and finally, see how this one tiny design creates, well, everything.
So how did we even figure this stuff out? I mean, this whole idea of a microscopic world, it didn't just pop into someone's head. Nope, it was a puzzle, built piece by some seriously brilliant people.
Things really got going back in the 1830s. You've got Matthias Schleiden looking at plants and going, hey, these are all made of cells. Then, just a year later, Theodor Schwann does the same for animals. Same conclusion. But there was a huge missing piece. Where do new cells come from? It wasn't until 1855 that Rudolf Virchow nailed it. He realized that all cells have to come from, well, other cells.
And boom! Put those three discoveries together, and you get the cell theory. This is like the constitution of biology. It's just three core ideas, but they are so powerful. 1, all living things are made of cells. 2, new cells come from old cells. And 3, the cell is the most basic unit of life there is. That's it. Those rules apply to a tiny amoeba and a giant blue whale. It's universal.
Now, even though that blueprint is universal, life got creative. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation. Early on, evolution took a major fork in the road, leading to two totally different ways of building a cell.
And here's that split, right here. On one side, you've got the prokaryotes. Think bacteria. These guys are the minimalists. Small, simple, efficient. Their DNA is just kind of floating around in the main compartment. It's like a one-room studio apartment. Then you have the eukaryotes. That's us. Plants, fungi, pretty much everything you can see. These are the mansions. They're bigger, way more complex, and everything is neatly organized into different rooms, or organelles. And the biggest deal, their DNA is locked away safely inside a special room, the nucleus. That organization, that was the game changer that allowed for complex creatures like us to even exist.
Okay, so let's actually go inside one of these cellular mansions, a eukaryotic cell. The best way to wrap your head around this is to imagine it as a tiny, bustling city. And every single structure inside what we call an organelle has a super specific, super important job to do.
First stop on our tour, the industrial district. This is the endoplasmic reticulum, or just the ER for short. Look at this massive network of tubes and sacs. This is the city's factory floor. It's cranking out all the proteins and lipids, the steel beams and concrete that the cell needs to build, to grow, and to fix itself.
So once the factory makes all the stuff, where does it go? Well, it gets shipped over here to the Golgi apparatus. This is the city's central post office and shipping center. It takes in the freshly made proteins and lipids, puts the finishing touches on them, packages them up, and slaps on a mailing label. And this is critical because sending the wrong package to the wrong address in a cell could be a total disaster. The Golgi makes sure everything gets exactly where it needs to go.
All right, every busy city produces trash, right? You need a cleanup crew. For the cell, that's the job of the lysosomes. These little guys are basically the city's recycling and waste disposal centers. They're filled with powerful enzymes that just chew up anything that's broken, old, or unwanted. They keep the city clean and even recycle the raw materials for future use. Super efficient.
And of course, a city needs storage space. Warehouses. That's where vacuoles come in. They're these big sacks that store all sorts of stuff. Water, food, even waste. Now, in animal cells, they're pretty small. But in plant cells, they are huge. A single vacuole can take up to 90% of the cell's space. It's like a massive water tower that also provides structural support, keeping the plant firm.
Okay, so we've seen the factories, the post office, the cleanup crew, but who's running this whole operation? And where's all the power coming from to keep this city humming 24/7? It's time to meet the two absolute MVPs of the cell.
Here it is, City Hall, the command center, the brain of the operation, the nucleus. It's got this double-layered wall for extra security because inside it holds the most important thing in the entire cell, the DNA. This is the master blueprint for everything. Every single decision, every action the cell takes is directed from right here in the nucleus.
And if the nucleus is City Hall, then this is the city's power grid. These are the mitochondria. They are the power plants. They take the food we eat, the air we breathe, and through a process called cellular respiration, they turn it into pure energy. This energy is stored in a molecule called ATP. You can just think of ATP as the dollar bill of the cell. It's the currency that pays for everything. Without mitochondria making ATP, the city goes dark, instantly.
Okay, so we've had our tour of the microscopic city. Let's zoom back out for a second, because the most incredible thing is how this one basic design, this one type of cell, is the blueprint for the unbelievable variety of life on this planet.
I mean, this is what blows my mind. A neuron in your brain and a cell in the leaf of an oak tree, they have the same basic parts. A nucleus, mitochondria, the ER, the whole shebang. But they specialize. They take that basic kit and modify it to do a very specific job. One becomes long and stringy to transmit signals, the other becomes packed with gear to do photosynthesis. Same blueprint, totally different buildings.
And the range of sizes is just staggering. On one end, you have bacteria, called mycoplasma, so tiny you can barely even imagine it. We're talking just 0.3 micrometers. Then, on the complete other end of the spectrum, the largest single cell on the planet is an ostrich egg. You can pick it up, you can cook it, you can hold it in your hand, and that is still, technically, just one single cell. Wild. And the complexity packed inside is just as incredible. Get this, take one of your cells, which you can't even see without a microscope, find the nucleus inside of that. Now, if you could pull out the strand of DNA packed in there and stretch it out, it would be about 2 meters long. That's taller than most people. All of that information is packed into a space that is infinitesimally small. It's a feat of engineering that's just beyond belief.
And that brings us to this really core idea. It's not just about the parts. You can have a pile of mitochondria, a bunch of DNA, some ER, and you just have a pile of junk. Life, that magic spark, only happens when all of those parts are organized perfectly, working together in this incredibly complex dance. It's the system that creates life, not just the components.
So, that leaves us with the biggest mystery of all, doesn't it? We know the players, we know what they do, we've toured the city, but how do trillions of these little machines, these little cities, working together create something like a memory, or the feeling of being hungry, or consciousness? How does all that tiny organized complexity add up to us? That's the question that biologists are still trying to answer, and it's one of the greatest quests in all of science.